Why your goals fail and how to make them stupidly easy. You have tried to build better habits before. You decided you would meditate every morning, hit the gym 5 times a week, read before bed, learn a new language, or finally get serious about that side project. Maybe you bought the meditation app subscription, downloaded the language learning software, signed up for the gym membership. You were ready. This was it. The first 3 days felt great. You were motivated. You were committed. You told yourself this time would be different. You actually believed it. Then life happened. A work deadline pushed your morning routine. A friend invited you out on a gym night. You were too tired to read. You missed a day. No big deal, you thought. You would make up for it tomorrow. But tomorrow came and you missed again. Then 2 days turned into 3. 3 turned into a week. And suddenly the whole thing collapsed. You went back to scrolling your phone at night instead of reading, skipping workouts instead of showing up, and telling yourself you would start again on Monday. Sound familiar? You are not alone. Most people cycle through this pattern their entire lives. Start strong, lose momentum, quit, feel guilty, start again. Over and over. This is not a willpower problem. This is not a discipline problem. You are not broken. The system you are using to build habits is designed to fail. Your goals fail because you expect too much from yourself at the exact moment when you have the least capacity to deliver. You set the bar high when motivation is strong, then watch it crumble when energy dips, time gets tight, or stress kicks in. Here is what actually works. You lower the bar so far that failure becomes nearly impossible. You build habits so small that you can do them on your worst day, in your worst mood, with almost no time. This is not about lowering your standards. This is about raising your consistency. In this audiobook, I will show you how to use minimum effort systems to build habits that actually stick. You will learn how to start so small that resistance disappears, how to use momentum instead of motivation, and how to turn tiny actions into long-term results. Later, I will give you the 2-minute version you can use today, and a 7-day rewire plan that makes this automatic. No need to pause or take notes. There is a toolkit in the description with all the tools and a 7-day checklist. You can use it later. If you have ever abandoned a goal after a few days, if you have ever felt guilty for not following through, or if you are tired of starting over every Monday, this is for you. If you are looking for hacks to sustain intense effort indefinitely, or if you think the problem is just trying harder, this probably will not land. Let me show you why your goals fail and how to fix it. The problem and the real cause. You decide to go to the gym and work out for an hour. That is the goal. You commit to it. You mean it. One day, you only have 40 minutes before your next commitment. Maybe you have a meeting. Maybe you promise to pick up your kid. Maybe you have dinner plans. Whatever it is, you only have 40 minutes. What do? Most people skip the gym entirely. The goal was an hour, so 40 minutes does not count. It feels incomplete. It feels like failure. So instead of getting 40 minutes of exercise, they get 0. Think about that logic for a second. You turned 40 minutes of benefit into 0 minutes of benefit because it did not match your original plan. This happens all the time, in every area of life. You set a reading goal of 30 pages a night. One evening, you are exhausted. You can barely keep your eyes open. You manage 10 pages and then you cannot focus anymore. So you do not read at all, because 10 pages feels like failure. You close the book and scroll your phone instead. You decide to meditate for 20 minutes every morning. But some mornings, you wake up late. You hit snooze 1 too many times. Now you only have 5 minutes before you need to leave for work. So you skip meditation completely. 5 minutes does not seem worth it. You want to write every day. You set a goal to write 1,000 words. One night, you sit down and can only manage 200 words before your brain shuts off. You delete the 200 words. If you cannot hit 1,000, why bother? The pattern is the same across every failed habit. High expectations create an all-or-nothing trap. You either hit the full target or you bail. There is no middle ground. And here is the brutal truth. This approach guarantees failure. Why? Because life is unpredictable. You will not always have an hour. You will not always have energy. You will not always have focus. Some days, you will be tired. Some days, you will be sick. Some days, your schedule will blow up. Some days, you will just not feel like it. If your habit only works when conditions are perfect, your habit will fail. The real cause is not lack of discipline. The real cause is that you designed a system that only works when conditions are perfect. And conditions are rarely perfect. You are not failing because you are lazy. You are not failing because you lack commitment. You are failing because your habit structure assumes you will always have time, energy, and motivation. That assumption is wrong. Think about your own habits right now. How many of them require ideal circumstances to happen? How many collapse the moment your schedule shifts, your energy drops, or something unexpected comes up? Most of them, right? That is the problem. Your habits depend on external conditions you cannot control. So when those conditions change, your habits break. You are not broken. Your system is misaligned with reality. And this is not just about physical habits like exercise or reading. This applies to everything. You want to call your parents more often. You decide to call them for 30 minutes every Sunday. But one Sunday, you are traveling. Another Sunday, you are sick. Another Sunday, you have guests. You miss 3 Sundays in a row. Now calling feels like a chore you have been avoiding, so you stop altogether. You want to keep your apartment clean. You decide to deep clean for 2 hours every Saturday. But one Saturday, you have plans. Another Saturday, you are exhausted. Another Saturday, you just do not want to. 3 weeks go by and your apartment is a mess. Now cleaning feels overwhelming, so you avoid it. You want to learn a new skill. You decide to practice for an hour every evening. But work runs late one night. You have a social event another night. You are too tired another night. A week goes by with no practice. Now the skill feels out of reach, so you quit. Every time, the same pattern. High bar, perfect conditions required, inevitable failure. What you need is a habit structure that works on your worst day, not just your best day. You need a system that survives chaos, fatigue, and disruption. That system exists. It is built on one principle. Make the goal so small that you cannot fail. The framework. The framework is called minimum viable momentum. It has 3 parts. Each part solves a specific failure point in traditional habit building. First, set the threshold so low that starting becomes automatic. The goal is not to do a lot. The goal is to start without resistance. Most habits fail at the starting line. You think about doing the thing. You know you should do the thing. But there is this gap between knowing and doing. That gap is resistance. Resistance shows up as excuses. I do not have time. I am too tired. I will do it later. I will start tomorrow. The way you eliminate resistance is by making the habit so small that the excuses stop working. If your goal is to meditate for 20 minutes, the excuse of not having time is valid. You might genuinely not have 20 minutes. But if your goal is to meditate for 2 minutes, the excuse falls apart. You have 2 minutes. Everyone has 2 minutes. When the threshold is low enough, starting becomes automatic. You do not need to think about it. You do not need to psyche yourself up. You just do it. Second, rely on inertia instead of motivation. Objects in motion stay in motion. Objects at rest stay at rest. This is physics, but it applies to human behavior too. When you are sitting on the couch, getting up and going to the gym feels impossible. The friction is enormous. You are at rest, and you want to stay at rest. But if you have already done 2 minutes of exercise, continuing for another 10 minutes is easy. You are in motion, and you want to stay in motion. The hardest part of any habit is starting. Once you start, continuing is much easier. This is why minimum thresholds work. You do not need motivation to continue. You just need momentum. And momentum comes from starting. You do not need to feel motivated to keep going. You just need to get moving. The act of starting creates its own motivation. Third, allow expansion without requiring it. The minimum is always the floor, never the ceiling. Some days you do the minimum. Other days you keep going. Both count as success. This is critical. If you only allow yourself to succeed when you exceed the minimum becomes useless. You will feel bad when you only do 2 minutes, even though 2 minutes was the goal. But if you treat the minimum as success, and anything beyond it as bonus, you remove the guilt. 2 minutes is success. 20 minutes is also success. Both are wins. This flexibility is what makes the system sustainable. On bad days, you do the minimum and feel good about it. On good days, you expand and feel even better. You never fail. You only win at different levels. This is how you build habits that stick. You remove the barrier to starting. You use momentum to carry you forward. You create flexibility so the habit survives bad days. Most habit advice tells you to aim high and push through resistance. That works for short bursts. It does not work for long-term consistency. High goals and intense effort create results quickly, but they burn out just as fast. You sprint for a week, then collapse. Minimum viable momentum flips the script. You aim low to eliminate resistance. You start small to build frequency. You trust that momentum will do the heavy lifting. The results come slower, but they last. Think about it this way. Would you rather run at full speed for 5 minutes and then stop, or walk steadily for 5 hours? Intensity feels productive. Consistency actually is productive. If you are driving or working out, just listen. The toolkit has the full steps. Let me show you how this works in practice. Chapter 1. The Micro Start Tools. Tool 1. The 2-minute floor. What it is: set your habit goal to something you can complete in 2 minutes or less. When to use it: use this for any habit you have been procrastinating on or any habit you have failed to maintain in the past. The 2-minute floor is your safety net. It is the absolute minimum version of the habit that you commit to doing every single day, no matter what. Here is why 2 minutes works. 2 minutes is short enough that you have no excuse. You cannot say you do not have time. You have 2 minutes between meetings. You have 2 minutes while your coffee brews. You have 2 minutes before bed. 2 minutes is long enough to count. You are not just thinking about the habit. You are actually doing it. You are building the neural pathway. You are proving to yourself that you can follow through. And 2 minutes is short enough that you will often do more. Once you start, momentum kicks in. You tell yourself you will meditate for 2 minutes. You sit down, close your eyes, focus on your breath. 2 minutes pass. But you are already settled. You are already in the flow. So you keep going for another 5 minutes, or 10, or 15. But here is the key. You do not require yourself to go longer. You allow it. If you want to stop at 2 minutes, you stop. You still win. Example: you want to build a daily meditation practice. Instead of committing to 20 minutes, commit to 2 minutes. Sit down, set a timer, close your eyes, breathe. When the timer goes off, you are done. You succeeded. If you want to keep going, great. If not, also great. You want to start journaling. Instead of writing 3 pages, commit to writing 3 sentences. Open your journal, write 3 sentences about your day, close it. Done. If you feel inspired and want to write more, go for it. If not, you still did what you set out to do. You want to learn a new language. Instead of studying for 30 minutes, commit to reviewing 5 flashcards. Open the app, go through 5 cards, close it. Win. If you are on a roll and want to do more cards, excellent. If not, you still built the habit. The 2-minute floor is not about doing less forever. It is about removing the excuse that prevents you from starting. You can always find 2 minutes. You cannot always find 20. Most people set goals based on what they want to achieve, not what they can consistently do. They want to be the person who meditates for 20 minutes every day, so they commit to 20 minutes. But they are not that person yet. They are the person who skips meditation when they are busy, tired, or stressed. The 2-minute floor meets you where you are. It does not ask you to be someone you are not. It asks you to show up as yourself, with all your limitations and constraints, and do the smallest possible version of the thing. Once you do that consistently, you become the person who meditates every day. Then you can expand. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick one habit you have been avoiding. Set a 2-minute version of it. Do that version every day for 7 days, no matter what. Do not do more unless you feel like it. Just hit the 2-minute mark and stop if you want. Track whether you complete it every day. At the end of 7 days, ask yourself 2 questions. Did I do it every day? Did I naturally expand on some days? If yes to both, you have found the right floor. If no to the first question, your floor is still too high. Cut it down even further. Common failure mode. You think 2 minutes is too small to matter, so you skip setting a floor and go straight to the bigger version. Then you miss days and quit. You tell yourself that if you are going to meditate, you might as well do it properly. 20 minutes or nothing. So you do nothing. The 2-minute version feels pointless. It feels like you are not trying hard enough. It feels like you are settling. But settling for 2 minutes every day beats aiming for 20 minutes and doing 0. Fix. Trust the floor. 2 minutes builds the behavior loop. Once the loop is automatic, duration expands naturally. You are not trying to meditate for 2 minutes forever. You are trying to build the identity of someone who meditates every day. Once that identity is in place, the duration takes care of itself. Tool 2, the no excuse threshold. What it is, design your habit so there is no valid reason to skip it. When to use it? Use this when you notice yourself making excuses to avoid starting. The no excuse threshold is about cutting through your own rationalizations. You are good at making excuses. We all are. We tell ourselves we do not have time, we are too tired, we will do it tomorrow, we are not in the right headspace, the conditions are not ideal. Most of these excuses are valid in the moment. You genuinely do not have an hour. You genuinely are tired. But they stop being valid when the threshold is low enough. If your goal is to go to the gym and work out for an hour, the excuse of not having time is legitimate. You might not have an hour. But if your goal is to do 1 push-up, the excuse falls apart. You have 10 seconds. Everyone has 10 seconds. The no excuse threshold is the point at which your excuses stop working. Example, you tell yourself you will go to the gym, but only if you have a full hour. That gives you an out every time your schedule is tight. Some days, you have meetings back to back. Some days, you are running late. Some days, you have errands. Some days, you just do not feel like spending an hour at the gym. So you skip it. Instead, set the threshold at 1 push-up. You can do 1 push-up in 10 seconds, anywhere, anytime. In your office. In your bedroom. In a parking lot. There is no excuse that survives a 10-second commitment. You cannot say you do not have time. You have 10 seconds. You cannot say you are too tired. 1 push-up does not require energy. You cannot say you do not have equipment. You do not need equipment for 1 push-up. The threshold is not about the result. 1 push-up will not make you stronger. 1 push-up will not burn calories. 1 push-up will not build muscle. The threshold is about proving to yourself that you can follow through no matter what. It is about removing the option to bail. When you commit to 1 push-up, you are committing to showing up. And showing up is what builds habits. Here is the 7-day experiment. Take your current habit goal. Cut it down until there is no circumstance in which you could not do it. Test it for 7 days. If you miss even 1 day, the threshold is still too high. Cut it again. Let me give you another example. You want to read more. You commit to reading for 30 minutes before bed. But some nights, you are exhausted. Some nights, you get home late. Some nights, you are too wired to focus. So you skip it. The excuse is valid. You do not have the mental capacity to read for 30 minutes. Now set the threshold at 1 page. 1 page takes 90 seconds. You can read 1 page no matter how tired you are. You can read 1 page in bed with your eyes half closed. There is no excuse. You want to write every day. You commit to writing 1,000 words. But some days, you are blocked. Some days, you are busy. Some days, you have no ideas. So you skip it. The excuse is valid. You do not have 1,000 words in you today. Now set the threshold at 1 sentence. 1 sentence takes 30 seconds. You can write 1 sentence about anything. The weather. Your breakfast. Your mood. There is no excuse. The no excuse threshold forces you to get honest about what is actually stopping you. Most of the time, it is not the habit itself. It is the size of the commitment. When you shrink the commitment to almost nothing, the excuses disappear. What remains is a choice. Either you do it, or you do not. And when the threshold is 1 push-up, 1 page, or 1 sentence, choosing not to do it feels absurd. So you do it. Common failure mode. You set a low threshold but then feel bad for only doing the minimum, so you stop doing it altogether. You do 1 push-up and feel ridiculous. You think, what is the point? 1 push-up does not do anything. I am wasting my time. So you stop doing the 1 push-up, and you stop doing any push-ups. Or you read 1 page and feel frustrated. You think, this is not real reading. I am not making progress. I am just going through the motions. So you stop reading altogether. Fix: doing the minimum is success. Doing more is bonus. Both count. Stop treating the floor like failure. 1 push-up is infinitely better than 0 push-ups. 1 page is infinitely better than 0 pages. You are not doing the minimum because you are lazy. You are doing the minimum because you are building a habit. And habits are built through repetition, not intensity. Tool 3. The expansion rule. What it is: after you complete the minimum, you are allowed to continue if you want, but you are never required to. When to use it: use this to avoid guilt when you only do the minimum, and to capture momentum when you feel like doing more. The expansion rule is what makes the minimum viable. Without it, the minimum becomes a ceiling instead of a floor. Here is what happens without the expansion rule. You set a goal to read 1 page per day. You do it for a week. You feel good. Then one day, you are really into the book. You finish 1 page and want to keep reading. But you tell yourself, no, the goal is 1 page. If I do more today, I will feel bad when I only do 1 page tomorrow. So you stop at 1 page even though you want to continue. You have turned the minimum into a maximum. Or worse, you read 5 pages one day, and then the next day you only read 1 page. You feel like you failed because yesterday you read 5. 1 page feels like regression. So you quit altogether. The expansion rule fixes this. The minimum is always success. Anything beyond the minimum is bonus. You are allowed to expand. You are never required to. Example: you set a goal to read 1 page per day. Some days, you read 1 page and stop. You are tired. You are not into the book. You have other things to do. You read 1 page, close the book, and move on. Success. Other days, you read 1 page, feel engaged, and keep reading for 20 minutes. You are in the zone. The book is good. You have time. You keep going. Also success. Both outcomes are fine. Both are wins. The 1 page rule gave you permission to start. Momentum gave you permission to continue. This is the key to making minimums work. You do not lock yourself into doing only the minimum. You lock yourself into doing at least the minimum. The floor is fixed. The ceiling is open. Think about it this way. If you commit to reading 1 page per day, and you do it every day for a year, you will have read 365 pages. That is more than 1 book, depending on the book. But that is the floor. If half the days you expand to 10 pages, you will have read closer to 2,000 pages. That is 5 or 6 books. If a quarter of the days you expand to 20 pages, you will have read even more. The minimum guarantees the baseline. The expansion creates the upside. And here is the best part. The expansion happens naturally. You do not need to force it. You do not need to plan it. You just allow it. Some days you will feel motivated. Some days you will have extra time. Some days the book will be so good you cannot put it down. On those days, you keep going. Other days you will be tired, busy, or distracted. On those days, you stop at the minimum. Both are fine. Here is the 7-day experiment. Set a minimum for 1 habit. Complete the minimum every day. Track how many days you naturally expand beyond it. Notice what conditions make expansion more likely. Maybe you expand when you do the habit first thing in the morning. Maybe you expand when you have no other commitments. Maybe you expand when you are in a good mood. Pay attention to the pattern. Then adjust your environment to make those conditions easier to replicate. If you expand more in the morning, schedule the habit in the morning. If you expand more when you are in a good mood, do the habit after something that puts you in a good mood. You are not forcing expansion. You are creating conditions that make expansion more likely. Common failure mode. You expand most days, then on a day when you only do the minimum, you feel like you failed. That guilt makes you quit. You have been reading 20 pages per day for 2 weeks. Then one day, you are exhausted. You read 1 page and stop. You feel disappointed. You think, I am slipping. I am losing momentum. I am going backward. The guilt builds. The next day, you do not want to read at all because you feel like you are failing. So you skip it. 1 skip turns into 2. 2 turns into a week. The habit collapses. Fix. Reframe what success means. Success is hitting the minimum. Expansion is extra credit. Celebrate both. 1 page is success. 20 pages is also success. They are both wins, just at different levels. You are not slipping when you do the minimum. You are maintaining the baseline. And maintaining the baseline is what keeps the habit alive. The expansion days are great, but they are not required. The minimum days are what build the long-term consistency. If this is useful, subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. It helps more people find these audiobooks. Tool 4, the frequency lock. What it is, commit to doing the habit every single day, even if the amount is tiny. When to use it? Use this when you want to turn a behavior into an automatic routine. Example, you want to build a writing habit. Instead of writing 1,000 words 3 times a week, write 50 words every day. The daily repetition builds the neural pathway faster than sporadic high-effort sessions. Frequency beats intensity when you are building a new habit. Your brain learns through repetition, not through effort. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick a habit you currently do inconsistently. Set a tiny daily version of it. Do it every single day for 7 days, even if some days you only do the absolute minimum. Notice how it starts to feel automatic by day 5 or 6. Common failure mode. You miss 1 day and decide the streak is broken, so you stop trying. Fix. Do not track streaks. Track frequency over rolling periods. Missing 1 day out of 7 is 85% consistency. That is still progress. Start again the next day. Chapter 2, the Momentum Tools. Tool 5, the Start Trigger. What it is, remove all friction between the decision to start and the action itself. When to use it? Use this when starting feels harder than the habit itself. The Start Trigger is about engineering your environment so that starting becomes the path of least resistance. Most habits fail before they even begin. You decide you want to exercise. You have the time. You have the energy. But there are 15 steps between the decision and the action. You need to change clothes. You need to find your shoes. You need to find your water bottle. You need to set up your workout space. You need to choose a workout. You need to find your headphones. Each step is a decision point. Each decision point is a chance to quit. By the time you have done all the setup, your motivation is gone. So you skip it. The habit itself is not hard. The friction before the habit is hard. The Start Trigger removes that friction. Example, you want to exercise in the morning, but you waste 15 minutes deciding what to wear, finding your shoes, and setting up. By the time you are ready, motivation is gone. Instead, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Put them on your chair so you see them when you wake up. Put your shoes by the door. Fill your water bottle and put it in the fridge. Cue up your workout playlist. Now when you wake up, there are no decisions to make. You put on the clothes that are already there. You grab the shoes that are already by the door. You grab the water that is already filled. You press play on the playlist that is already queued. You remove every decision point between waking up and moving. The easier it is to start, the more often you will start. Let me give you another example. You want to read more, but every time you decide to read, you spend 10 minutes looking for your book, finding your reading glasses, getting comfortable, adjusting the lighting. By the time you are set up, you do not feel like reading anymore. Instead, create a reading trigger. Put your book on your pillow every morning when you make your bed. Put your reading glasses on top of the book. Set up your reading chair with good lighting and a blanket. Now when you want to read, everything is ready. You sit down, pick up the book, put on the glasses. No decisions. No friction. Just action. Or you want to write every day, but every time you sit down to write, you waste 20 minutes opening your laptop, finding the right document, deciding what to write about, getting distracted by notifications. By the time you are ready to write, your focus is gone. Instead, create a writing trigger. Before you go to bed, open your laptop to a blank document. Turn off all notifications. Write the first sentence of tomorrow's writing session so you have a starting point. Close the laptop and leave it on your desk. Now when you sit down to write, the document is already open. The first sentence is already there. The notifications are already off. You just start typing. The start trigger is not about willpower. It is about design. You are not trying to force yourself to start. You are making starting so easy that not starting requires more effort. Here is the 7-day experiment. Identify the 3 biggest friction points in your habit. What are the steps between deciding to do the habit and actually doing the habit? Write them down. Then eliminate 1 friction point per day for the next 3 days. Day 1. Eliminate the biggest friction point. Day 2. Eliminate the second biggest. Day 3. Eliminate the third. Track whether eliminating friction increases your follow-through rate. My guess is it will. Most people discover that the habit itself was never the problem. The setup was the problem. Common failure mode. You add so many optimizations that setup becomes another task you avoid. You decide to remove friction from your morning workout. So you lay out your clothes, prepare your shoes, fill your water bottle, cue your playlist, set up your workout space, prepare a post-workout smoothie, lay out your post-workout stretching mat. Now the preparation takes 30 minutes. You have created more work, not less. So you avoid the whole thing. Focus on 1 friction point at a time. The goal is to make starting easier, not perfect. You do not need to optimize everything. You just need to remove the one thing that stops you from starting. Usually, that one thing is enough. Tool 6. The motion timer. What it is: commit to doing the habit for a fixed, short duration. Once the timer ends, you are free to stop or continue. When to use it: use this when you feel resistance before starting, or when the habit feels overwhelming. Example: you do not want to clean your apartment because it feels like hours of work. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Clean for just those 10 minutes. When the timer goes off, stop if you want. Most of the time, you will keep going because you already built momentum. The timer removes the open-ended commitment that creates resistance. You are not committing to finishing. You are committing to starting. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick a task you have been avoiding. Set a 10-minute timer. Work on it for just those 10 minutes. Stop when the timer ends, even if you want to keep going. Notice how often you naturally continue past the timer. Common failure mode. You set the timer but keep thinking about how much work is left, so you quit before the timer ends. Focus only on the current 10 minutes. Ignore the rest. You are not trying to finish. You are trying to start. Tool 7. The chaining habit. What it is: attach your new habit to an existing habit that is already automatic. When to use it: use this when you struggle to remember to do the habit. Example: you want to do a gratitude practice but keep forgetting. You already drink coffee every morning. Attach the gratitude practice to the coffee. While the coffee brews, write down 3 things you are grateful for. The coffee habit triggers the gratitude habit. Chaining works because it borrows the automaticity of an established behavior. You do not need to remember. The existing habit reminds you. Here is the 7-day experiment. Identify 1 rock-solid habit you already do every day. Attach a tiny new habit immediately before or after it. Test the chain for 7 days. If it does not stick, try attaching it to a different existing habit. Common failure mode. You chain the new habit to an inconsistent existing habit, so neither happens reliably. Only chain to habits you do every single day without thinking. Morning coffee, brushing teeth, commuting, eating lunch. Pick the most automatic behavior you have. Tool 8. The reset window. What it is, give yourself a specific time window to restart the habit if you miss the original time. When to use it? Use this when your schedule is unpredictable and you need flexibility. Example, you want to meditate first thing in the morning. Some mornings, you sleep through your alarm. Instead of skipping entirely, give yourself a reset window. If you miss the morning slot, you can meditate during your lunch break. If you miss that, you can do it before bed. The habit still happens, just at a different time. The reset window prevents the all-or-nothing collapse. You do not need perfect timing. You just need to complete it within the day. Here is the 7-day experiment. Set 3 possible windows for your habit. Morning, midday, evening. If you miss the first window, use the second. If you miss the second, use the third. Track how often you use each window. Adjust your default time based on which window has the highest success rate. Common failure mode. You use the reset window as an excuse to always delay, so you end up doing the habit at the worst possible time every day. Fix. The reset window is backup, not default. Always aim for the first window. Use the reset only when necessary. Quick recap. Your goals fail because you expect too much from yourself when you have the least capacity to deliver. High expectations create all-or-nothing traps. You either hit the target or you quit. There is no middle ground. No room for bad days. No flexibility for real life. You design habits for perfect conditions. Full energy, clear schedule, high motivation. But those conditions rarely exist. So your habits break the moment reality kicks in. Minimum viable momentum fixes this. You set the bar so low that starting becomes automatic. You use inertia instead of motivation. You allow expansion without requiring it. The framework has 3 parts. Low threshold, momentum over motivation, flexible ceiling. Each part addresses a specific failure point in traditional habit building. The tools so far. The 2-minute floor gives you a version of the habit you can always complete. The no excuse threshold removes every valid reason to skip. The expansion rule lets you do more without requiring it. The frequency lock builds automaticity through daily repetition. The start trigger removes friction between decision and action. The motion timer removes the open-ended commitment that creates resistance. The chaining habit borrows automaticity from existing behaviors. The reset window gives you flexibility without abandoning the habit. If you only do one thing, do this. Pick one habit you keep failing at. Set a version so small you could do it in under 2 minutes. Do that version every day for the next 7 days. Do not expand unless you feel like it. Just prove you can show up. That is all. One habit. 2 minutes. 7 days. No grand plans. No multiple goals. No trying to fix everything at once. Just one small thing, done consistently. You are not failing because you lack discipline. You are failing because your system assumes perfect conditions. Once you design for reality instead of ideal circumstances, consistency becomes easy. This is not about lowering your ambition. This is about building a foundation that actually holds. Quick recap. And remember, the toolkit is there so you can revisit this without rewinding. Now let me show you how to use constraints and trade-offs to make this sustainable. Chapter 3, The Constraint Tools. Tool 9, The Energy Map. What it is: schedule habits during your highest energy windows, or shrink them to fit your lowest energy windows. When to use it: use this when you notice your habit success rate varies by time of day. Your energy is not constant throughout the day. You know this. You have felt it. Some hours you are sharp, focused, capable. Other hours you are foggy, drained, barely functional. Most people ignore this pattern when they build habits. They decide to do something and pick a random time. Then they wonder why they keep failing. The answer is usually simple. They picked the wrong time. The energy map is about matching your habits to your capacity. High-energy habits go in high-energy windows. Low-energy habits go in low-energy windows. Example, you are a morning person. Your energy peaks between 6 and 9 in the morning. By 9 at night, you are running on fumes. If you want to write, do it first thing in the morning. If you want to exercise, do it before work. If you want to do deep focused work, Schedule it in that 6 to 9 window. Do not try to do cognitively demanding habits at 9 at night when your energy is gone. At 9 at night, you can do low-demand habits. Stretching, light reading, tidying up. Save the hard stuff for when you have the capacity to do it. If you cannot control timing, shrink the habit to match available energy. Maybe you work a night shift. Your only free time is late at night when you are exhausted. You cannot write for an hour. Your brain does not have an hour of writing in it. But you can write one sentence. You can do that no matter how tired you are. Or maybe you are a night person. You are useless in the morning. Everything feels impossible before 10. Do not schedule hard habits in the morning. You will fail. Schedule them in the evening when you have energy. The energy map requires you to be honest about your patterns. You might want to be a morning person. You might think you should be productive early. But if you are not, stop pretending. Work with your actual energy, not your ideal energy. Here is the 7-day experiment. Track your energy levels throughout the day for 7 days. Set 3 checkpoints. Morning, midday, evening. Or whatever times make sense for your schedule. At each checkpoint, rate your energy from 1 to 10. Write it down. After 7 days, look at the pattern. When do you consistently have the most energy? When do you consistently have the least? Then move your most important habit to your highest energy window. Track whether the success rate improves. My guess is it will. Most people are fighting against their energy instead of using it. Common failure mode. You ignore your energy patterns and force yourself to do hard things when your capacity is lowest. You decide to meditate every night before bed because that is when you have free time. But at night, your mind is racing. You are wired from the day. You cannot settle. So meditation feels impossible. You sit there, frustrated, fighting your thoughts. You decide meditation does not work for you. But the problem is not meditation. The problem is timing. You are trying to do a focus-intensive habit when your focus is shot. If you moved meditation to the morning, before your mind gets cluttered, it would work. Fix, respect your energy. Use high-energy windows for high-demand habits. Use low-energy windows for low-demand habits. Stop pretending you have unlimited capacity. You do not. No one does. Plan around your limits, not in spite of them. Tool 10. The Opportunity Cost Filter. What it is, recognize that doing one habit means not doing something else. Choose deliberately. When to use it. Use this when you are trying to build too many habits at once and failing at all of them. Example, you want to meditate, exercise, read, write, and learn a language every day. Each habit takes time. If you commit to all 5, you might fail at all 5. Instead, pick 2. Do those 2 consistently for 30 days. Once they are automatic, add a third. Every yes to a new habit is a no to something else. Time spent meditating is time not spent reading. Be honest about the trade-off. Here is the 7-day experiment. List every habit you are trying to build. Rank them by importance. Pick the top 2. Pause the rest. Focus only on those 2 for the next 7 days. Notice whether your success rate improves when you narrow your focus. Common failure mode. You try to do everything and end up doing nothing. Fix. Build sequentially, not simultaneously. Master one habit, then add the next. Tool 11. The calendar block. What it is, reserve a specific time on your calendar for the habit, and treat it like a meeting you cannot cancel. When to use it. Use this when your habit keeps getting pushed aside by other tasks. Example, you want to exercise, but work always runs late and by the time you are free, you are too tired. Block 30 minutes on your calendar at 7 in the morning. Treat it like a client meeting. Do not schedule over it. Do not move it. Protect it the same way you would protect a work commitment. If it is on the calendar, it is real. If it is not on the calendar, it is optional. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick one habit. Block time for it on your calendar. Treat that block as non-negotiable. If someone asks you to meet during that time, say no or offer an alternative. Track whether protecting the time increases your completion rate. Common failure mode. You block the time but let other people or tasks overwrite it because the habit feels less important. Fix. Your habits are meetings with yourself. They matter. Defend them. Tool 12, the Deload Week. What it is: every 4 to 6 weeks, cut your habit goals in half to prevent burnout. When to use it: use this when you notice fatigue, resistance, or declining motivation. Example: you have been meditating for 10 minutes every day for a month. You start to feel it becoming a chore. Take a deload week. Drop it to 2 minutes. Give yourself permission to coast. After the deload week, return to 10 minutes. The break prevents burnout and keeps the habit sustainable. Consistency is not about grinding forever. It is about pacing yourself so you can keep going. Here is the 7-day experiment. After completing a habit for 30 consecutive days, take a deload week. Cut the habit in half. Do the reduced version for 7 days. Notice whether the break makes you more motivated when you return to the full version. Common failure mode: you feel guilty during the deload week and push yourself anyway, so you never actually recover. Fix: the deload is not laziness. It is maintenance. Use it. Chapter 4, the prototyping tools. Tool 13, the micro-experiment. What it is: test the habit for 7 days before committing to it long-term. When to use it: use this when you are not sure if a habit will fit your life or deliver results. Example: you think morning journaling might help with clarity, but you are not sure. Instead of committing to it forever, run a 7-day experiment. Journal every morning for 7 days. At the end, evaluate. Did it help? Was it sustainable? Do you want to continue? The experiment removes the pressure of permanent commitment. You are just testing. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick a habit you are curious about but hesitant to commit to. Test the smallest possible version for 7 days. At the end, ask yourself 3 questions. Did I do it consistently? Did it deliver value? Do I want to keep going? If yes to all 3, continue. If no to any, drop it or adjust it. Common failure mode: you skip the evaluation step and either quit without learning anything or continue a habit that does not serve you. Fix: always evaluate. The experiment is not just about doing the habit. It is about collecting data on whether the habit is worth keeping. Tool 14, the constraint test. What it is: deliberately make the habit harder to see if it is actually valuable. When to use it: use this when you suspect you are doing a habit out of obligation, not because it helps. Example: you have been doing a 20-minute morning routine for months, but you are not sure it is making a difference. Cut it to 5 minutes for a week. If you feel no loss, the extra 15 minutes were not adding value. If you notice a decline, restore the full version. The constraint reveals what matters. If removing something has no impact, it was not essential. Here is the 7-day experiment. Pick a habit you do regularly. Cut it in half for 7 days. Track whether the reduction affects your results, mood, or energy. If it does, restore the full version. If it does not, keep the reduced version and reclaim the time. Common failure mode: you mistake comfort with necessity. Just because a habit feels good does not mean it is essential. Fix: test the reduction. Let data decide, not feelings. Tool 15, the replacement protocol. What it is: when you want to quit a bad habit, replace it with a minimum viable alternative. When to use it: use this when you are trying to stop a behavior that fills a need. Example: you scroll social media every night because you are bored. Telling yourself to stop scrolling does not work because the boredom is still there. Instead, replace scrolling with a minimum viable alternative. Read 1 page of a book. Do 5 minutes of stretching. Listen to a podcast. Give yourself a different way to address the boredom. Replacement works better than restriction. You are not removing a behavior. You are swapping it for a better one. Here is the 7-day experiment. Identify one habit you want to stop. Write down why you do it. What need does it meet? Find a healthier behavior that meets the same need. Test the replacement for 7 days. Notice whether the urge to revert decreases over time. Common failure mode: you try to replace a high-stimulus behavior with a low-stimulus one, so the replacement does not satisfy you and you revert. Fix: match the stimulus level. If you are replacing scrolling, the alternative needs to engage your brain. Reading a book works. Staring at the wall does not. Tool 16. The batch reset. What it is: when you fall off a habit, restart with a batch of micro wins to rebuild momentum. When to use it: use this after you have missed several days and feel stuck. Example: you have not exercised in 2 weeks. Telling yourself to go back to your full routine feels impossible. Instead, batch 3 micro wins. Do 10 push-ups today. Do 10 push-ups tomorrow. Do 10 push-ups the day after. 3 wins in a row rebuilds the belief that you can follow through. Then expand. The batch reset is not about going big. It is about proving to yourself that you can still do it. Here is the 7-day experiment. If you miss more than 3 days of a habit, pause and reset. Do the absolute minimum version for 3 consecutive days. Once you hit 3 in a row, return to your normal version. Track whether the reset makes it easier to restart than jumping straight back in. Common failure mode. You try to restart at full intensity, fail again, and quit for good. Fix: start small. Rebuild momentum. Then scale up. The 7-day Rewire Plan and Checklist. Day 1. Pick one habit you have failed at before. Set a version so small you can do it in under 2 minutes. Write it down. Time constraint: 5 minutes. Day 2. Do the 2-minute version of your habit. Do nothing else. Just complete it and stop. Track it. Time constraint: 2 minutes. Day 3. Do the 2-minute version again. If you feel like doing more, allow yourself to expand. If not, stop at 2 minutes. Track whether you expanded. Time constraint: 2 to 10 minutes. Day 4. Identify the biggest friction point in your habit. Eliminate it. Example: if you want to exercise but waste time finding your shoes, put your shoes by the door tonight. Time constraint: 5 minutes. Day 5. Do the 2-minute version again. Notice whether removing friction made it easier to start. Track it. Time constraint: 2 to 10 minutes. Day 6. Attach your habit to an existing automatic behavior. Example: if you drink coffee every morning, do your habit right after your first sip. Test the chain. Time constraint: 2 to 10 minutes. Day 7. Do the 2-minute version one more time. Evaluate. Did you complete it all 7 days? Did you expand on any days? Do you want to continue? Time constraint: 5 minutes. This is exactly what the toolkit is for. So keep listening now, then use the checklist later when you are at your desk. Here is the 2-minute version you can use today. Pick one habit. Cut it down to something you can complete in 2 minutes or less. Do that version today. Track it. Do it again tomorrow. That is it. You are not trying to do everything. You are trying to prove you can do one thing consistently. Once you do, momentum builds. The habit expands. The system works. Closing summary. 3 things to remember. First, your goals fail because you design them for perfect conditions. Lower the bar until failure is nearly impossible. Second, momentum beats motivation. Start small. Objects in motion stay in motion. Third, minimum is success. Expansion is bonus. Both count. Your next step: pick one habit, set the 2-minute version, do it today. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. And check out the free toolkit in the description so you do not have to take notes. And share this with one friend who keeps starting over every Monday. Once they stop expecting perfection and start building momentum, they will finally break the cycle. Thanks for listening.